Sal, and we are live. Boy, that took a while to connect today. Hi to everybody. Hi, Lizzie, Jody. I think I saw Charlotte there. Charlotte, I saw your note about being woken up early this morning. So good to see you all. And I'm really looking forward to doing this broadcast on, I'll get comfortable in a minute, on reuse, recycle, and reduce. Start with reduce, reuse, recycle. Because I realized to my absolute amazement that I've made some major changes since we did that original broadcast. Now, for those of you who didn't see the original broadcast, I'm going to have Jody, our admin, remind me to put up the link to it underneath the comments on this broadcast. So if you didn't see the original one and are interested in what we talked about, because there was a wealth of great ideas in there. But what I wanted to do was to see how are we doing? You know, have we made any improvements? And if so, which ones? I'm actually stunned at the improvements that I have made, quite honestly. And that's not good for me. This is just good for the environment. But I was surprised. So now the other thing is that if you happen to be new to the broadcast, welcome. We always welcome people to join us. If you join in on the comments, just know that I will probably ask you a couple of times whether I may repeat what you type here, because you might not realize that this will go out on live on a replay, and it'll be on the internet for forever and ever. The comments won't be, but what you know, if I repeat what you said, then that will be. We actually disconnect the comments normally within an hour or two, depending on how long it is before YouTube allows me to remove the comments. Sometimes I can get there early. Sometimes it takes me as long as 2 hours to be able to disconnect the comments. So just be aware of that. So a big hug to you all. Lizzie, a big hug to you. By the way, I just wanted to send thoughts and prayers for Chief Justice Ginsburg. I hear that she has just completed radiation treatment now for pancreatic cancer, which, you know, also means that, you know, I think she's had 3 different cancers. So this is not looking good for her. Lizzie, you know, I don't know if there's an update on your daddy, but if you'd care to type it in there, go right ahead and let me know if I can repeat it. It's a beautiful day in Ontario. Is it really, Lizzie? It's an autumn day here. I was quite shocked when I woke up. I went, wow, that looks like autumn. Ah, okay. Well, hi to Daddy. So what I wanted to do is just to get some idea of how you are feeling. So what I did is I put out a quick survey to ask you to reply. And I wanted to just share some of the things that people replied about what they're doing in terms of reduce, reuse, recycle. Jody said that after the broadcast, she stopped buying coffee creamer in plastic bottles. All right, what we said was wherever possible, don't buy anything in plastic. You know, whether it's your washing powder or whatever, try not to buy it in plastic, buy it in cardboard. So what Jody said, she stopped buying coffee creamer in plastic bottles and started buying Tetra Paks instead. Way to go, Jody, well done. Also, I purchased a set of reusable silicone zip bags. I forgot to bring those out. Hang on a second. Okay, so this is, I don't know which ones you got, Jody, but I got these, and remind me to put a link up to these. They were called this name, and they're in a plastic bag, which surprised me, but never mind. And these are silicone baggies. Jody, are yours like this or are yours different? And these are in different sizes. There are a few missing because I've already got them used. They're really nice and strong, easy to wash, which is important. And I believe you can put these in the dishwasher, although I haven't worked out how. I can see how it will clean the outside, but you need to clean the inside. That's the important bit. Maybe I have to do an experiment on that for myself. But anyway, so yes, Jody, I agree with you. All right, so Jody says they are very useful. Oh, yours are just like mine. Okay, they're very useful, and I feel good about using them. Yes, so do I. Some brands are dishwasher safe. I've got a feeling these are. These are very high quality in my view. But I will double check to find out on that one, if you can give me a reminder. So, Jody, thank you so much. Then I got a note back from Isabel. She's not here yet, right? And Isabel was saying that following the broadcast, she chooses her food more consciously in terms of how they're packaged. All right. And she's now considering bringing her own containers into the bulk stores. Has anybody done that? Hi, Crystal. Good to see you. So has anybody started to do that? Started taking your own containers? Now, the problem is, be aware that they will weigh the container as well as whatever you put in it. So what I'm doing is actually taking the plastic bags that I got from the supermarket, washing them out and taking them back. And yeah, if you get the container weighed first, what do you do with what's inside it? I think that it makes it more difficult for the teller, because you must understand. You need to understand that obviously they don't want to spend their life doing math. Well, the container weighs this and the food weighs that. So, but maybe they just take it out and then put it back in again. What do they do when strawberries are all over? Yeah, I don't know. I've got to work on that one. However, what Isabel said, the hardest thing for her, thanks for the update, Lizzie, let me know if I can say that publicly. The hardest thing for her is to reduce the water bottles. Now, funny enough for me, reducing water bottles was the easiest. Yeah, I just got water bottles and I take them with me everywhere and I refill them when I'm out. So I'm not sure. Isabel is in Quebec, I think. So I'm pretty sure that they have them. I just bought sort of fairly good ones at the local dollar store, I think, or the local market, maybe. Well, I'm thinking Walmart, maybe. And I just, I've got maybe 2 or 3 of them. And before I go out, I fill it up with ice and water. And if I'm out long enough, I will refill it with water wherever I can. The other thing is to remember, there was a great survey done. And I think I put a link to it for you guys. A guy went out and actually put regular tap water into bottles, rebranded the bottle and some really nice name, and had a really nice label done for the bottle, and then produced, like a whole stack of them, but then took it out and had, people who were holding water bottles. He said, the name brand ones, he said, I'd like you to try my water and see if it tastes as good as your water or maybe even better. And the interesting thing was almost everybody said that the water that they'd just been given tasted better. And he said, it's tap water. Stop buying bottled water. And it was really quite amazing to see how many people did that. All right. So again, Jody, yes, isn't that true? Jody says, and how many of you relate to that? I really relate to it. Jody says, I am such a sucker for packaging and a pretty label. All right, so that's what he did. He packaged it in a really pretty bottle with a really, good label on it, and everybody thought it was better water. So I just want you to know that those little things are really important. So Isabel, if you hear this on the replay, make a plan. Get yourself a couple of bottles you can take with you, and stop buying bottled water. Buy yourself a water filter if you need to. I'm lucky enough that my fridge has a water filter in it. And by the way, I use that a lot. And just so that you know, 2 things, I've said this before, but I want to repeat it because it's important. If you want to mop your floors or wipe your floors, do it with distilled water. It doesn't leave any streaks. And the same with if you want to clean your windows. And Lizzie's saying she's always suspected that, a lot of bottled water was tap water anyway. Yes, I think they've done a couple of tests on that. And by the way, the bottled water from the tests that I've seen isn't nearly as healthy as you think it is. So a great comment there. I'm glad that Lizzie brought that up. The other thing, if any of you use CPAC machines, I found that filtered water from my fridge works perfectly in my machine. So I just wanted to mention that. By the way, I've started washing my windows with a Windex type solution, but starting with distilled water, because I don't want, and I use it for my showers and all sorts of things. Just an idea for those of you who like to make your own stuff. All right, so Nyasha said that she hasn't made any changes. And that's because her country is not big into recycling yet. But she said she does tend to use less. Now, I saw something on CNN yesterday where Eamon Dawa, or whatever her name is, one of the international reporters, really, really fascinating lady. 1 minute she's in the middle of a war zone, but she was diving at the Saragossa Sea, and she literally was showing all the plastic that is stuck underneath the seaweed. And then she just literally held the camera straight, and you could see the little microplastics floating past the camera. And every now and then she would catch a bit of plastic and go, this is, Nyasha is in Trinidad and Tobago, Lizzie. Sorry, Lizzie's just asking what country she's from. She literally was catching bits of plastic of different sizes and then showing the microplastics that all the fish are now consuming. So the thing is this, how safe is it to eat fish these days? That is the question. And what she's saying, if I understood it correctly, or what the biologist on the boat that she was on was saying, that we on average eat about a credit card's worth of plastic every year at the moment. And it can only go up. Interesting. If you eat any fish, you are consuming plastic. And that is the point that she was making. And so to me, this is getting really scary now. And so just be more and more aware. I'm thinking even in fish that's raised in fish farms, as long as they're using regular water, I still think, I don't care if it's fresh water, but there's so much plastic being thrown into the rivers and stuff, even today. So I don't know what we're going to do about it, quite honestly. I probably won't be around to worry too much about it, but it is something I want the younger people to worry about big time. And one of the things that they have always said is if you want to change a society's habit, tell the kids something. You know, the kids are the ones that will make the difference, all right? The same as when they wanted to stop people smoking. You know, they trained the kids not to accept smoking in the house. And, you know, parents probably got very angry for a while, but then eventually, you know, it caught on big time. And we, you know, you know, it's amazing how many people have stopped smoking. Yes, Lizzie's saying, you know, Lizzie's saying so much for organic. Yes, fresh, you know, you know, be very aware, people, that you are eating fish that has plastic in it, without a doubt. And you know, the more fresh it is from the ocean or whatever, the more chances are, in my view, the more the chances are that you're eating plastic. So just give it a thought. I don't know how you stop it. That is the question. I don't know how you test for it. You know, you can't sort of stick a thermometer in and say, okay, how much plastic is in this piece of fish? I'd like to know. And maybe it's not new. Maybe we've always been eating plastic. So, but I do want to just give you a heads up that that's what I was researching and looking at this week for you guys, so that I could tell you. All right, so I thought I'd show you some of the things that I've done. And I want to start with something I did that blew my mind. I've started keeping a separate bag just for plastics. You know what I mean? The film wrap. Hang on, let me see if I can undo this. Apparently I did it up fairly well. And so that when I put things in the garbage, if it's plasticky, I put it into one of these. Now, remember, I live on my own. I'm not feeding a family of 5. And I thought I would show you, I've got plasticky stuff from Amazon with bubble wrap inside it, plasticky. More thing. I've got a load of these popsicle covers. I've got, this is what I do. I take a bag, this is a cherry bag, and I just keep stuffing more plastic into it. So does that make sense? I put plastic into plastic now. And this was how much I collected in a week. Now, this isn't the surprising thing. Actually, I was surprised it was that much. But what surprised me was how little there was other than that. That surprised me. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like in my garbage, I'm not talking organics or paper, recycled stuff. I'm talking about garbage. I would say 98% of what is in my garbage now is this. That absolutely blew my mind. And I would really encourage you to do it just to see how much you use, all right? Now, it doesn't take a lot of work. What I did was I have a plastic bag like this hanging inside my under sink area. And I just put a second one into the first one, and one half I put just the regular garbage, and the other half the other bag I put the plastics. And then in my garbage area, I actually just, keep filling them up like this and tying them up. So far, I'm pleased to say, I don't think I produced more than one of these in a week, but even so, scary. And so, I don't know, I've tried to reduce a lot. So let me give you, if you're interested, some of the things that I've been doing. The first thing I did, this is not a reuse thing, and this is gonna really make you roll your eyes, but it's funny, it works. I have a little bottle next to my sink with some soapy water in it. when I use a piece of paper towel, literally just to wipe up some coffee or, whatever, maybe some flour, I dip it in some water and wipe up some flour or something. I just literally pop it into my jar. And the last thing I do at night is I rinse all this out and I lay it flat. By the time I wake up in the morning, I've got clean, dry paper towel. And what surprised me was how little paper towel I'm using now. Now, you also know for more serious stuff, i.e. it's got meat on it, or, if I've got meat juices or something like that, I use face cloths because I can put those into the washing machine and, they are then reusable. But this actually surprised me. No, it does not fall apart, Lizzie. That's the most amazing thing. Presuming you're buying decent paper towels to start with. The other thing, and I said this before, is that if you use wet wipes, don't throw them away. Do not throw wet wipes away. Put them into a glass jar, put the lid, put some water and some soap in there, use your mini washing machine. Use your mini, put the lid on, shake it up, make it, and then just empty it out. I have been using the same wet wipes to remove my makeup for about 6 months now. And they sit all day long in water and they're still working beautifully. So I use them as wet wipes and then I wash them really well and, just in a bottle of my mini washing machine. And then how many of you like my mini washing machine? So that's just if you're interested in reusing. I thought it was roll your eyes stupid at first. And now I feel really bad if I use new paper towels. By the way, the other thing I do is when they get really dirty for some reason, like they've been used for something that's gungy, I still wash them, I still clean them, and they go into my studio for one last use in the studio. Okay. Jody, I also got, how many of you have seen these advertised? There are two sorts that are advertised. Those, hang on, got a bend here. And these. All right. Now, I've tried these for the second time, and I still can't get them to work. I'm certain there is a way of doing it, but I just want to show you. The idea is that you stretch, and they are meant to stick. Well, I got news for you. I've tried that many, many times, and I can get it to stick occasionally, and then it just releases. I've tried doing it both ways, but is it useful? And what I found is it actually is quite useful. If I want to put something in the fridge, I can just cover it quickly like this, and it's not going to dry out. So these are not what I call good value for money. However, what I've also got with these, and this is difficult to do while I'm on camera, so bear with me here, but the idea is you just hold it like this. This probably is a bit too small, but we'll see. You just stretch it across there. You pull that one there. You pull that one there. All right, that works. However, be very aware if you've got pointy containers, sharp, this could be punctured. All right. Jody's saying this would be a good jar opener. Yeah, that's my reuse. Before I throw it away. Oh, I've just noticed it's got a smiley face on it. I wonder if you can see that. Hang on, see if I can get. Can you see the smiley face? Oh, it's all the more reason to use it. These are awesome. And so you get a whole stack of them. Can't remember the price, but Jody, remind me, put a link up to them, if you would, please. But you get a stack like this. And I quite honestly have already ordered more. Plus, I have ordered more for people for Christmas. So now then, what I've stopped doing is using saran wrap and press and seal. You've never seen them. I got them on, you can get them on Amazon. I'll put up the link, Nyasha. But really, they are amazing. And they work. And yes, they, excuse me. Yes, they do go in the dishwasher. So, how many of you are going, I need a set of those? Yeah, you'll be ordering those pronto. That's why I thought I'd talk about it. So I will get the link up for you guys. And also, if you miss it, I will put it in the resource page, if Jody reminds me and checks to make sure I did it. I'll put it in the resource page on DearMamaSal.com under broadcast, the tab for the broadcast. And then we have that resource subsection in there. I'll put the link up to these right there for you guys. Because I didn't think that they are a waste of money. That's like they work, they go in the dishwasher, and can you imagine, right, how much I've saved? Now then, the question is, how many of you reuse your stretch and seal or your regular plastic, saran wrap type plastic? Do any of you reuse yours? I've started, I'm not joking, for the things that I have to use it for, and I'm trying to think since I've had these whether I've used any more. But if I have to use saran wrap, I now rinse it off and let it dry and stick it in a glass bottle. It's amazing how much you can get into a glass bottle. And then whenever I need plastic, I start there. All right, this is like, don't make it single use. You have my permission to throw it away if you've used it twice. But if you haven't used it twice, please try not to throw it away. We're trying to stop single-use plastics. Okay, we've done that one. Let me see what else I've got here, if anything. All right. Popsicle sticks. I normally have sort of whole fruit type popsicles at night. And I've started hanging on to the popsicle sticks. Once a week, I go through, when I'm doing the garbage, I go through and I take the popsicle, when I finish them, I'm inclined to have the popsicle stick inside the plastic. I take the popsicle sticks out once a week. I throw them into a Tupperware type thing and let them get nice and clean. And then I let them dry. And now these go into the studio for mixing paints and things. So think about that, right? I try not to have single-use anything if you can. All right. Jody's saying she now has become very anti-single-use items. Well, you know something? You say thanks to me, but it's thanks to you. Because if you care enough, if we can get enough people to care enough, it will make a difference. All right? And quite honestly, if we can tell the packaging people or the manufacturers, I'm not going to buy your product because it's in plastic, they'll start listening. By the way, I buy things in boxes like this. All right? So I don't throw the box away. I take the product out, and then I keep my organics in this box. And then, when that's full, I throw it into the organics bin. So this is my new organics liner, if you like. So that is no longer a single use. Crystal is her name, Nyasha. So think about that before you throw away a cardboard box. Now, some of you know I paint a lot of them and use them. I paint them only because, I've got a lot of paint lying around, and I use them for storage, in some way. Either, you could paint these and just use them for storage. Now, Nyasha is the mother of invention. She actually takes things like this and makes lots of things out of them, right, Nyasha? She'll put them sideways and make little filing cabinets and doing all sorts of things. So she's really clever in using cardboard and not throwing it away, but using it in creative ways. And I was thinking, Crystal, with all your makeup type things, it's probably be amazing to have a series of them, and just keep certain palettes, maybe cut them in half so you can see differently. But, I've started using this to using it more intelligently. And I don't know if I can find the photo of this, but I wanted to show you, the cardboard tubes that you have inside foil and plastic wrap. Okay. Of course, it'll be the one time that I don't. There we go. Okay. Now, do you all know what a magazine holder is? Okay. I actually keep the tubes. I don't know if you can see this. I keep the tubes and I put them inside a magazine holder. And then I put, those are my silicone baking mats or my barbecue mats. I've got extra large plastic bags that I'm going to talk about later. I've got bamboo sticks in there. I use them for chopsticks and stuff. So do you get the idea? It keeps them really neat and tidy, stops them from running around, and they're contained within that magazine rack. All right? Now, I don't know if you can see it, but next to it is another magazine rack, and I forgot to take the full picture because I was concentrating on this, but this is where I keep my plastic wrap, my wax paper, my parchment paper in a magazine rack so that it is contained as well, just so that you know. So those cardboard tubes are really useful if you want them to. Now, Nyasha, because she is very creative, she probably would glue a lot of these tubes together, right? If she doesn't have a magazine rack, Nyasha, you could just use some hot glue and then just, glue a whole lot together. And how many of you are going, yeah, I could do that with toilet paper tubes and use them for, makeup brushes and things like that. You've probably seen a lot of people do that. Just paint them and put some bling on them. It's amazing what you can do with toilet rolls. Anyway, I wanted to show you that because it actually works. You know me, I try to make sure I let you know what I've tried, but what works, because I think that's the important thing. Okay, nothing more that side. Let me see what else I've got here, if anything. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Now, here is the thing. I was talking about these. Now, what I used to do is whenever I was baking bread, I would cover the whole of the big bowl that I had the bread dough in with plastic. I know that most people put a wet tea towel over it. Me, I like to see my bread rise. It's just a personal thing. But I realized I was using a lot of single-use plastic for that. So I decided to stop. And what I've started to do is, hang on a second. Okay, let's say I've got something like this. In the old days, I would put plastic wrap over it. Actually, now that I look at it, this probably will fit over there beautifully. Yeah, it does. Okay, so we now know I'll probably be using these in future. But let's say, oops, let's say it's bigger. Let's say the bowl is bigger. So imagine that it is. What I've started to do is buy bigger plastic bags. Why? I can put things in there, close it, and when I use whatever's in here, I can rinse this out, let it dry, and use it again. And I've started, this is a bigger size one that you can get, all right? And I can fit my bread bowl in here. Make sense? So what I'm suggesting, and also when you unwrap things in future, think about, is that something I can use? I found there's certain things that come in quite big bags. Oh, excuse me. So these are what I call the normal large bags. These are the extra large ones. So I hope that's given you guys a few ideas. Any feedback? Or anybody got anything else that they do that you'd like to share? Just want to get these before I throw them all over the place. And so that is in a very short space of time, all right? You know, we only did that broadcast, well, not that long ago, right? Within the last month or so. And I can feel that, like Jody, I can feel I've changed, and I feel good about that change. And so what I'd like you to do, is think about it, and maybe, like myself, help other people change by maybe buying a set of those covers for people for Christmas. You see, if they don't know about them, they're not going to use them. But if they get them, and they're not expensive necessarily, but ideal Christmas present for people, because it not only is useful, but it saves the environment. The other thing, Nyasha, one of the things I do as well, and I talk to you because I know that you're very creative about this. You know, I was talking about the boxes, right? If I've got extra ones of these, I haven't used them. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, I've stopped talking because of the comments. Jody's saying those plastic zip bags as saran wrap is fantastic. I don't mind telling you, I thought that was pretty cool as well, Jody. I'm going, why didn't I think of this 40 years ago? Right? Because, by the way, if you've got to buy plastic bags, people, if you're going to buy them, buy freezer bags. All right? Buy freezer bags. All right. So Crystal's saying, I can't wait to get those covers. It'll help me with meal prep. Yes, so I don't have to buy extra containers. Exactly. I use them on, I keep the black little containers that you get mushrooms in, all right, from the store, all right, and I cover them with stuff. I put them in a plastic bag, type stuff, right, I put my fruit. They normally have two sides to them, and I put, grapes on one side and, cherries on the other. It's my pre-prepping of food. I was going to talk, oh yes, Nyasha, and people who are creative. I think Crystal as well, Jody. I keep these boxes, if I've got any left off after doing the organics, I paint them. And I use them at Christmas time, all right? I just paint them pretty colors, whatever. Or I just paint them. And then they are my packaging at Christmas. So when I say packaging, I then don't have to go and buy boxes. You know, again, one-use box. Why would I do that? So what I do is I break them down and keep them flat. And then at Christmas time, I've got this array of different box sizes that I can use. Now, I know that I've got, I've got, you know, I've got a house big enough that I can do that. And I know some of you are rolling your eyes and going, I don't have room for what I've got. As I said to Jody this week, one of the best things I ever saw for me in terms of organizing. Now, some of you know I'm stealth, as Jody would say, about having things in containers now. I saw something come out of IKEA 20, 30 years ago. What they did is they took a 10 by 10 room and they just put furniture in it like you would normally have. And then they took the picture. And then they said, we will now take this same space and we will turn it, hi Marie, we will turn it into a complete home, a tiny home. And you're going, yeah, right. What they did, and this is what I need you to think about shoulder height up. I don't care where you are at the moment, what room you're in. Look at how much space there is from the shoulder height up. And what they did is they had a folding table that could hang on the wall. They had folding chairs that they could hang on the wall. They had the couch became the bed. Absolutely, one complete wall was filled with cubies as storage. Another wall was, had longer cupboards in it for things like brooms and stuff like that, and also longer clothes, dresses. They weren't together, people. They were two separate closets. What else did they have? I'm just trying to think. But really, the use of wall space was incredible. And they ended up with enough space for a family of 4 to live in. Now, I don't know about you, but 10 by 10 is a little bit small for me. I like the tiny house movement idea, people, but 10 by 10, I don't think so. Maybe it was 20 by 20. But do you understand the principle? So look around. Okay, so Niesh is saying you can purchase a large container or store all those boxes for crafts later on. Yes, you can do that. Or you can, save your next Amazon box and put them in there. Put boxes in boxes. Put the smaller boxes into the bigger box, into the bigger box. The ultimate. And so whenever I have saved all my Amazon boxes, I break them down and save them. I'm about to move, right? So therefore, I wouldn't use them for my regular stuff, but for those last minute things that I need packaging or protection, I'm going to use all my Amazon boxes. They're waiting. And I've got them in different sizes. Yes, Marie's saying, I never thought about how much space goes unused in the house. How many of you have seen pictures of my kitchen where I've got cubies along the top of my cupboards? Not only are they decorative, but they all hold different things, right, that I don't use very often. All right, so Marie's saying, granted, I have 2 walls filled with pictures, but there's so much more we could do with that space in our homes. Yes, I agree with you. Now think about that. You could actually still use that space and then with magnets and things still have those pictures as well, right? This is called being crafty, literally. So part of my challenge is to encourage you to see you've got a lot more space than you think you have. And so once I saw that demonstration by IKEA, I have always tried to think up rather than just, hang on a second, rather than just lateral, right? For example, in my back office, I have an L-shaped desk. I have a hutch that goes up, probably another 3 feet. And then on top of that, I've got cubies. All right. So that's now one tower like that goes up. And, even if you think about it, think about this. Did Linda come in? All right, so Marie's saying right now we're thinking of what kind of home we want to rent next. And my boyfriend wants something bigger. But right now we already have a 2-bedroom house for only 2 people and 2 dogs. Well, something, 2-bedroom is I think the minimum. If you get a 3-bedroom, you also have a storage locker. That's the way I think about it. Think about if you do get something bigger, think about what you're going to do with that 3rd bedroom. All right. Because to me, I'm amazed how many people spend incredible amounts of money for storage lockers when they could just buy or rent an apartment with 1 more bedroom for less than a storage locker. And the storage locker is probably smaller than the extra bedroom would be. And that's why when I look, when I'm looking for a minimum of 2 bedrooms and possibly 3, because I see the 3rd one as a storage locker in terms of all my crafts and things. So now, I think a lot of you know that one of my favorite tricks of all time, and I didn't bring it with me, but one of my things that I did that I'm really glad I tried it was I bought shower curtain rings and I put them over my hangers. And so I can just hang things. I can, hang 5 different T-shirts straight down. I can hang 5 different, nice blouses, hanging down. I can, I literally do, I will wash this and the pants I'm wearing, and I will put that outfit together. It's already, I just need to take that outfit off. I'll have a tank top and shorts already put together. So, I'll just go, okay, that's the next. Now, it doesn't mean I have to wear this with these white trousers, but I can change it if I go, I don't feel like wearing that today, so I can change it. So think about, shower hooks. They cost me $1, I think, at the dollar store, maybe $2 at the most. And they have completely changed my life in that way. Let me think what else in terms of, the circular. Do you want me, hang on a second, let me get some, hang on. So, Crystal, so here is my tank top. Here is the shower hook. So what do you call it? Shower thing. And then that's my outfit. Makes sense? And by the way, I can put another one here and put a series of outfits on it if I want to, but I actually will probably put about 3 outfits together in a drop-down row. Does that make sense, Crystal? By the way, if you're big into drinking soda, yeah, it's a pleasure, honey. It works really well. And also, it saves me a lot of time. You know, I have all my stuff lined up. So it also helps me rotate my clothes nicely. I have what I call the good short type stuff, and then I have the I can get dirty in this type stuff, which means I got paint near it once. You know, and I have days, when I do dirty work, if you know what I mean, right? I go, okay, I need the stuff I've had paint on that didn't quite come out. Great idea for making more space in your cupboards. The other thing that I'm really seriously considering, and depending on what I end up buying, I am thinking that why don't we hang our clothes this way rather than this way? You know, that you can pull out this thing and then pull it back in again. And the reason is because then you would always have the next outfit ready, all right, or the next tank top that you need. You know, it's just like, to me, it makes more sense that you could, you know, just push it back in and pull it out to load it up again and push it back in. And I'm very seriously thinking about trying that in another lifetime. All right, so I hope this has sort of helped some of you a little bit. But please, 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 let's really stop using plastic once. I use these little containers, you know, just the glasses you buy at the dollar store, but I use these to keep small amounts of food in. They take up less room in my fridge. That is my next thing. I want us, so first of all, let's really keep concentrating on single-use plastics, right? The next thing I wanted to work on is to ask you, how much food do you throw away each week? It's a really important thing, the amount of food we buy and throw away. So here's one of the things that, and I know that some of you are really good shoppers. You only buy exactly what you need. You know, you buy to a list, and that's great. I got into the habit, for whatever reason, oh, okay. Just Marie's asking if she can go off topic on a subject. Yeah, we've covered the main area. So yes, Marie, just type it up there and I'll get to it as soon as I finish this thing about the food. All right, so what I found was I was overcooking the amount of food I was cooking. I was cooking too much every week. And therefore I was putting it into containers, and that was going into the freezer, and I, you know, got an overflowing freezer. And I realized, yes, this is insane. I've got enough food here to feed a family of 5 for a month. So Jody's saying that's such a pet peeve of mine. I hate throwing food away. We don't throw away very much at all. Okay, and that's what I want us to concentrate on. One of the things that has helped me is buying mason jars, the wide-mouthed ones, not the regular one, the wide-mouthed ones, because I buy the sort of 1.5 cup size, and what I do, and the 1 cup size, right? And I will throw leftover vegetables into the 1 cup size. And for example, I made shepherd's pie. I would put the shepherd's pie into the 1.5. And then I keep it in the fridge. I'm trying not to put it in the freezer. If I haven't used it within the week, then, you know, I've cooked too much. And that's what I'm trying to teach myself, If you don't use it within the week, then you've cooked too much. Now, the last 2 weeks, I cooked shepherd's pie. Nothing went into the freezer. And then, can't remember what I did the week before. Oh, I did the chicken, I think. Nothing went into the freezer. I literally just continued to eat the leftovers during the week, and I had enough food for the week. You right? All right, so let me see what Marie is saying. So I want us to concentrate on that, all right? How do I stop buying, if you're presently buying too much fresh fruit? Think about this. This is what I do. I buy fresh fruit every week. I buy raspberries or strawberries or blueberries or whatever, okay? I really recommend that you know in what order they go bad, right? Raspberries don't last more than a couple of days. Eat your raspberries first. If you haven't eaten them within 2 days, freeze them and use them for smoothies. Apples and oranges will last you probably the month. So that's not too bad. Think about, bananas. If you're going to have bananas, how long do they last? Right? Think about that. If you're buying 6 by 4, or maybe even 3. All right, let me read what Marie is saying here. So I was assigned some work for a study for a financial aid. I was assigned some work study for financial aid, $1,000 per semester. I went and found a job on campus, but it wasn't what I applied for. I was told the position was already filled, so they gave me a different job in a similar area. I am only getting 6 hours per week, $7.55 per hour plus taxes will be taken out. I can't decide if it's worth it for me to take this job or just babysit as it becomes available to me. I know I'll make more babysitting, but I feel bad pulling out before the job has even started. I would need to buy pants and shirts for this job also. It seems excuse me a second. It just seems that spending all this money isn't worth it for such a low-wage job. I just don't want to be rude. All right, so there's a difference, all right? Some people would have thought this one out before they took the job, but you didn't. But what you have, Marie, okay. All right, first of all, I want to send you a hug because I can imagine how you feel about this because, you basically are a good person and you don't want to go back on your word. I understand that totally. So let's call this step 1. At step 1, you had this much knowledge, okay? And then you took the job, but since taking the job, your knowledge has increased. And am I showing you in a way that makes sense? So now you also found out that when you were here, you didn't see any negatives. Now here you're seeing it's not as much money as you thought, it's not the job that you thought, and you got to buy clothes. Those are 3 negatives. All right? So this increases your knowledge even more. Now, suddenly, this nice job does not look quite as nice. Right? And you're saying, I could make more than this just babysitting. Am I getting the story correct? I just want to make sure I've understood it correctly. Because if so, then I can tell you what give you some options here. Yes, 6 hours of babysitting, I'd make more money than I would in 4 weeks. Okay, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? No wonder. All right, but your concern is, I said yes, and now I need to say no. I want to say no, not need to or have to, but Makes sense. So what do you need to let go of to say no? All right, because we remember what we're saying, one is emotional and one is real. All right, realistic. So what do you need to let go of to be able to phone them up and tell them, I'm sorry, at the time of taking the job, I understood this, this, and this. I've now found out this, this, and this, and therefore I am unable to take the job. What would you need to let go of? What's your fear? And I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, where you started something believing this information and then you subsequently found other information. Okay, so Maria's saying, I need to let go of the ring I hopped through in trying to meet up with the boss and visiting a few times to get everything out together and the paperwork handed in. I didn't want to disappoint him after the work he put in to help me. Yes, I think I'd also be talking to that person. I don't want to look like I have a bad work ethic. Right? Can you all relate to these things, right? So this is about how I look. By the way, is that real? Or is that perception? Because at the moment, you don't look like you have a bad work ethic. I think you just need to tell the truth and say, look, I am really sorry. At the time of doing this, my understanding was that I was going to get paid X, Y, and Z. I also didn't know I was going to have to buy special clothes to do this job, which is more money. Fear of judgment. Well, let's see if Marie has that as a fear. But, thanks for adding that, Jody. So do you have a fear of being judged to have bad work ethic? You see, I think if you do this from a very, hi Kerry, if you do this from a very real place, which is, look, I am really sorry to have to do this, but at the time of taking the job, I understood that the salary was going to be X. I didn't know I was going to have to buy clothes. And I took the job before I found those things out, that A, the salary was less, and B, I was going to have to buy stuff to do the job, which changes it changes it for me. All right. And therefore, I now realize I can't take the job. All right. So Maria's saying, yes, I do have fear of judgment by him and the school. I wanted a job, but I didn't know it was going to be so few hours and basically minimum wage. That's what you tell the person who helped you. I am really sorry. I did try and take it, but then I found out it was, they dropped the salary on me and I was going to have to buy. I'm certain you understand. I had to let it go. That's what I would say. I'm certain you can understand. I had to let it go. I can do better than that babysitting. Because the person would understand that it's very real. All right. So does that make sense, Mary? Or you can worry about what people think about you, take a job that doesn't pay as much, spend the money buying clothes, or because you're worried about what people may think of you. You know what I would say? What you think of me is none of my business, right? This is like, are you making a practical, thought out decision? Because you can just explain, don't over explain it. Just say, quite honestly, at the time of taking the job, these were the facts I understood. Since then, they have changed the facts. They're giving me less money. They are requiring that I buy clothes. It just doesn't work. All right, the boss is kind of a grumpy man, so I'm scared that he's going to yell at you. Okay, at me. All right, so what you need to do is thank him. Say, look, I really want to thank you for trying to help me. And I did want to take the job. And I did take the job based on this, that, and the other. But since then, they have changed the information. They've suddenly changed the amount of money they're going to pay me, and they want me to buy clothes that I can't afford. Therefore, I had to say no. And I've just come to tell you, I'm so sorry. I really appreciate the help you gave me, but I can't take it. And, if he shouts at you, so what? It means he's lost control. All right? He's lost control. It's nothing to do with you. What he does, can they turn inside out? I don't know what you mean by that, Nyasha. Try saying that a different way, honey. But, the thing is, Marie, it is Marie, right? No. Yes, it's Marie. Marie, you just have to make a choice. Yeah, but don't grovel too much, Marie. I would almost laugh and go, hey, thank you so much for helping with that job. I know you did it with the best intention in the world. By the way, I took it. Thank you. However, since taking it, they dropped the salary and have a requirement now that I buy clothes I can't afford. I'm certain you can understand I needed to let it go. I can make more money babysitting than they are offering me. And if that guy has more than half a brain, he's going to go, make sense. Just give him the two facts. But it doesn't, and I would end with, but it doesn't take away from the fact you tried to help me, and I'm so appreciative of that. Thank you so much. Right? And I'm sorry that I couldn't take it. Yeah, I wouldn't even do that. Keep remembering, no is a complete sentence. So I weighed up the pluses and minuses, and the answer had to be no. All right, so find your own words around it, ones that make sense to you, Marie. But, don't let the fear of being shouted at. I lost it this week, Marie. Life got to me this week, and I shouted. I lost control. I shouted because I was so angry at something. But, getting angry at it didn't fix it. But I needed to let go of the emotion. There was so much emotion. I'm going to do a vlog about it when I'm driving this weekend. But, there was so much emotion. I needed to shout to let the emotion out, because otherwise I was going to explode. So, sometimes people, might get angry, but it doesn't mean they hate you. It means that they can't control it. Life 1, Sal 0 this week. But on one occasion, I managed to hold myself together for everything else except that, I think. And when you hear the story, you will understand why I exploded. So I think whenever you can, Marie, look at it from what's emotion. Emotion is, I'm scared they're going to shout at me. All right. Emotion is, I'm scared of letting them down. You haven't let them down. You made a decision. Right? Plus, right, what is this? Marie, you would be, this is Jody, you would be paying the price for that every day if you look at that job, just to avoid them possibly judging you. Yes, I think everyone in your shoes would take the babysitting job as you want to. It's not everybody would. No, I disagree, Jody. I think anybody that has emotional intelligence would say, nice idea, but sorry, can't take it. Because the price changed and the requirement of clothing wasn't mentioned before I took the job. You see, if you think about it, Marie, they misrepresented the job. I not big time take them to court, but they misrepresented it, right? They told you were going to get a certain salary, and they didn't tell you about the requirement to buy certain clothes. So, this wasn't your fault. If you'd had that information to start with, would you have taken the job? That is the question. If they had said, look, I know you're thinking we're going to pay you X, but we're actually only going to pay you 7 something. And by the way, before you take the job, you need to know you're going to need to buy this and this. Right? If you had the right facts, you would have made a different decision. Hi, Beth. Good to see you, honey. So, to me, Marie, I need you to sit up straight for a moment and just answer that question. If you had, it's very little info and you have to really hunt people down. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, if you weren't given the right facts to start with, I don't think you have to worry. It's not about you letting them down, they let you down. And, yes, I was prepared to take the job based on these facts. I've now found out this and this, and I'm so anymore. Okay, I've just seen that there was a moment where the cast just glitched. So if it becomes glitchy for you, just, it's okay, I'm back. Just hold on. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that one. So I think it's really important that you understand. All right, so Kerry's giving an update. Can I share that, Kerry? Yeah, so you're going to stop by on Monday and talk to the boss since you're supposed to start on Tuesday. No way you can tell him today. Because if you're meant to start on Tuesday, they might be able to refill it by Tuesday if they know today. I'm thinking, and I'd actually say that the reason I'm not coming in face to face but phoning you on this one is because I wanted to give you a chance to maybe get somebody over the weekend. No, he's left the office at noon to travel to a volleyball game. Okay, he's also, okay, fine. So you can't get hold of him until Monday. That's fair enough. Okay. So thank you, Jody, for that contribution. So the reality is, Marie, thank you for talking about it. I think it would be appropriate to send an email and just say to him, you just wanted to give him a heads up. And you know that he's at the game and you didn't want to, mess with his weekend. But on the other hand, he might have somebody else that he can get ready for Tuesday. Maybe he can contact the second, but don't tell him what to do. He knows what to do. Just say you wanted to give him as much warning as possible. Yeah. And just say to him, I was going to come in and tell you personally on Monday, but I was thinking maybe, yeah, exactly. Well done, Mary. What would you like somebody to do? I always ask myself, if this situation were turned around and I was him, what would I want to have happen? Right? All right, so Marie, that is what we do, all right? We try to help people with difficult situations. Now, it's still your choice, all right? This is not about, well, Sal said I need to do X, Y, and Z. This is still your choice. You have the choice to do the job and get angry because it's not enough money and you got to buy clothes, or you have the chance to get out before you even take it. You haven't got that job until you started. And technically, you accepted the offer based on X, Y, and Z, but you've subsequently found out A, B, and C. Therefore, you will no longer be able to take the job. Who knows? They might up the amount of money. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right. So Kerry, it's okay that I repeat that? I'm holding my elbow for you. Except I think it's this one. Okay, so Kerry's saying about her elbow, you know, she fell and really did a nasty number on it. She's saying that it's not broken, she just sprained it, and that it's a lot better. I'm so happy for you. Just keep doing the right things, you'll be fine. All right, so Marie's saying no, they unfortunately don't up the money for work study. It's a minimum wage for the most part, unless you're a graduate student. Yeah. Yeah, so keep icing it and keep doing the right things, right? Keep that infection down to a minimum. One of the things that I learned the hard way, Kerry, and I don't know whether, are they telling you to keep it covered or to keep it uncovered? The reason I say that, hi Sharon. Sharon's saying that whole situation about minimum wage is very common for work study. All right, so one of the things I found out from having a horse, I know this sounds strange, when I had a horse that had a major thing happen to one of its legs, a homeopath told me to keep the injury covered with a mixture of petroleum jelly, Vaseline, and calendula juice. Now, this was really interesting to me. And I went, what? He said, get calendula juice. And of course, he had it for sale. And then just literally cover the area. Now, what I didn't know, Kerry, what I didn't know was if you have it covered, be it, you know, with a bandage or whatever, it forces the owie to mend from the inside out. If you keep it uncovered, this will scab, and therefore it will sort of try and heal from the outside in. But when you've got something that's as nasty as that, my sense is it probably is going to benefit from, as long as you keep changing that dressing and make sure that it's clean and that there's an antibiotic quality to it. That it will heal from the inside out, and that's a much better heal. And I must admit that since that happened to my horse, now whenever I have an owie, I try to think about cover it so so that it heals from the inside out, but keep changing the dressing to make sure it's clean. Beth is saying about the job situation, my job gave me a salary and I said no because I'm worth more. I gave a counter offer of 7,000 more a year, and I got it. Never hurts to ask for more. They don't know how much I'm worth, but I do. Okay, so you are keeping it covered. Well done, Kerry. But keep changing that dressing. That is the important thing, because if you cover it, your chances of infection, go up. If the covering isn't kept clean. Makes sense. It's a really interesting. It's amazing how little things happen in your life. Did any of you see the video that I did, the vlog that I did about the coincidence? You change it every day after your shower. Okay, so that's a good idea, because then the shower helps keep it soft as well. That's a very clever idea. After it's air dried, right? Don't cover it too quickly, because there could still be bacteria from the water or from the air. Anyway, I'm just thinking, let it dry first. Yeah, it needs air to heal as well. Yes, but what I'm saying, I find, I don't know about you, but I find I give it some time in daytime, and then at night I would cover it to make sure that it could heal from the inside out, and also that my tossing and turning wasn't removing stuff. You know what I mean? Anyway, so it's just a case of whatever they recommend is what you should do, I guess. So yeah, Beth, I think your situation is slightly different, right? Work study is a different thing. Now, my question, Marie, and that's the one thing that I'm not quite sure of. My question is, if you do babysitting, does it count as work study? One gets you bonus points, right? I just want to make sure I clear that point up before we move on from this one. To me, work study sounds like cheap labor. All right, and do you need those points, whatever those points would be? Do you need them? Okay, so work study is to help pay for the tuition, all right, but if you do babysitting, you can do the same thing. Okay. No problem, Beth. By the way, we started with some good stuff on recycle, reuse, and reduce, just so that you might want to catch up with that, Beth, because there were some interesting things that happened there. Right, good idea. All right. So Maria's saying, yes, I can do the same thing. It's just not guarantee of getting it all the time. And then she said, you think I'm going to put an ad in some Facebook groups? Yes, absolutely. All right. This is about what you're worth. And if you know that you're worth more babysitting, then that makes sense. All right. Just treat it like a job. Make sure you have enough work. The other thing is, Marie, one thing that I learned in sales is always ask for the next order. All right. Always ask for the next order. In other words, if you're helping Mrs. Brown with her little Jane, make sure you say to Mrs. Brown, by the way, Mrs. Brown, do you know anybody else that might need a babysitter? Maybe somebody else who goes, that you go to the park with Jane that might also need some help. And make little cards out. All right, print up some little bits of paper if necessary. Those ones where you can break them off. So that you can put it on her fridge, so that if she comes across anybody, she can just give it to them. I would also go to by the way, another place you might put it is a community notice board at the local supermarket. My local supermarket has a community notice board. All right. And I think you can, it's free, so, I would make up a really nice little thing, find out what size they need to be or whatever. And, and mine, they actually cover it with glass so that people can't, take down the ones they don't like or the competition, because people do things like that. So, I'd think about, and maybe I'd go to the park. Oh, your supermarkets don't have those. Okay, what about, where else do you have those sort of community boards, people? Well, here's the thing to think about. All right, every person that books you has friends who have babies, more than likely. Does that make sense, Marie? It's called the principle of 250, right? Everybody, if you are somebody that likes crafts, the chances are they know people who like crafts as well, because birds of a feather flock together. So, if you say to them, is there anybody else in your, circle of friends that has children that might need a babysitter? And if so, could I give you a couple of cards? Or, all right, a lot of this area just communicates through local Facebook groups. There are 3 for my town that goes about 50 miles away. Okay, that's a long way to go. So I'd make sure I say within X number of miles, right? You don't want to be driving 50 miles every day. All right, so Marie's adding information here. There are a lot of crime in this area, so parks and community centers aren't that great a place to post. All right, that makes perfect sense. But you get the idea, Marie, all right? I always said every client is my stepping stone to another 10 people if I do it right. That's how I'd look at it. Okay, so this is, Mrs. Brown. Mrs. Brown has 250 people in her sphere of influence. Therefore, the chances are she might know somebody who's got a baby and might need babysitting services. Only do it after you have proved your worth. All right. Don't do it before she's found out that you're really good. Once she knows that you're reliable, that you look after her little Jane nicely, that's when to do it. Okay. By the way, you might even think about, what are you going to give her as a finder's fee if she does find you somebody? All right, networking at mum events, such as, Crystal? Yeah, if there happens to be a local all right, so Maria's saying, hang on a second. Yes, at 2 families I've been with for about 8 months. I even nannied for one family on their vacation to Disney. Don't you love that one? Yes. Yeah, I can remember, Marie, one client phoned me and said, Sal, I need you to do a conference for me. And I said, okay, fine. Where and when? And he said, in whatever it was. Oh, sorry, it's my doorbell. I'll be right back. What is it? Round the corner at the back of the house. They didn't tell you that? Okay, sorry about that. It was actually for Papa downstairs. All right, so yeah, anyway, so they said, they'd like me to do a conference for them. And I said, sure, no problem. Where is it? And they said, well, we'll be leaving from Fort Lauderdale. I said, where are we going? They said, Mexico, on a cruise ship. I said, I can do that for you. Yeah. And they paid me as well. Just like, yeah, really. And you're going to pay me? Wow. So, exactly, Marie. So the main thing is, Marie, I'm so glad you talked about it. The reason I'm glad you talked about it is because, can you see how much your fear got in the way? Marie's saying, which went to Disneyland, tickets and the room were provided for the parks. Oh gosh, how much fun was that? So what I really want to tell you is that I need you to get this idea in your head, Marie, for all your life, all right? And everybody else that's watching. Because if you stay here with the fear, you are not going to get here, which is real. All right? And this is about, remember those words from Terry Cole Whitaker, Marie, what you think of me is none of my business, right? So it is not that you're being a bad person. Did you feel that you were being a bad person? Because that's what I heard. I don't want to upset the boss guy. Well, hello, if they had given you the right information, you wouldn't need to do that. All right? So what they sold you was not the truth. And you felt you were letting them down. Okay. All right, Nyasha, sleep well. So what I want you to see, there are going to be a lot of times in your life where you need to just have a look at, what am I scared of here? All right? And that is, by the way, how many of you have noticed now that you got more emotional intelligence, that when you get angry, there is a good reason for it? And what I'm really working very hard on, I get angry less often, but boy, when I do get angry, I go, wait, stop. What am I fearful of? What got triggered here? All right, because it's unusual for me to get angry. Therefore, somewhere something got triggered, and I'm much, much better these days about finding out what it was that caused that. If I get sad, I go, what do I need to let go of so I can be happy again? Okay, bye, Nyasha. Good to see you, honey. All right, what do I need to let go of? All right, emotionally, so that I can be back into reality again. It's amazing how quickly it is possible to do. However, the harder the hit, the longer it can take. But you might be able to jump out of it, but it'll take you a little while just to process it through a little bit more. So I would really like to be able to talk through more of those stories if you have them. Because I think that's why I want to do the broadcast, and I will do it when I go out tomorrow. I want to do the vlog about what happened to me that caused me to literally get almost incensed. I was just beside myself. And the reason I want to do that vlog is for you to see that, there are times that it still happens to me, even with what I know. But that doesn't mean that I am less than. It means this was that serious. This hurt that much. I am going to be releasing, I don't think I've released it yet, a video that I did on disrespect. And you will hear how something triggered me, that I saw it as disrespectful. And then what I did was I made some suggestions to you if you have to do what happened to me. If you had to do that, some things you might reword it. Because I think, like a lot of things, what we get confused about, I don't have the words. I don't know how to go to the boss and say, hey, this is the story. It sounded like a good idea until I took the job. Once I took the job, the salary changed, and I found there was a purchase requirement that I didn't know about. And therefore, I really am not able to take it anymore. However, I would say, if there was a job that was offered to you at more money, then you might say, had they kept the money, I probably would have made a plan about buying the clothes. But as the money changed as well, that was the deal breaker for me. So I hope that helps. Okay. All right, so somewhere here I've got some quotes for you, just so that we can do some positive stuff. If anybody has anything they'd like to talk about, just let me know. And all right, so what I thought I'd do, is get some quotes together about recycling, because I thought that would be interesting. And I'm hoping that you will all, with maybe I would like some input from you guys, if you wouldn't mind. As I've said, it is my goal to waste less food. So can I get some ideas from you as to what you do to not waste food? Maria is just adding another point. The other deal breaker for me that caught me up was the weekend shift, which hadn't been mentioned either. But all along, it was just a bunch of unmentioned information. And I'm happy to be able to work this out. It's a pleasure. Oh, with your help, Sal. Yeah, it's a pleasure, Maria. That's how I work things out, by the way. That's called a vent. Marie, that's called a vent. Something is wrong. I can feel something is wrong. All right. And so what I will say to people is, hang on a second, I need to vent for a minute. And I will go, wait a minute, they offered me this, and now they're doing this. And by the time I finished, I got the answer, which is, really. It's just like, okay, I got it. I had the situation when I got really this weekend where I needed to talk to Benji, but Benji didn't reply immediately, which means he wasn't available. But I heard him. You know what I mean? I wrote to him about something, and I heard him in my head. And so I wrote back and said, don't worry, I heard you anyway. And I went ahead and made the... Do any of you relate to that? How many of you have had situations where you can hear me talk to you? It's very possible that you have. Because you know how I think, right? And so this is about, okay, fine. So it's a name, I think it's good to know, Marie, that asking for help is a sign of strength, not one of weakness. Yeah. All right. And that's what you have. You will hear Benji talk about me being his mentor. Do you understand? He now has become mine in some ways as well. And the same way as I started off as a mentor to Jody, but Jody mentors me on my health stuff, my diabetes and trying to change my habits, things like fasting and so forth. She has become my mentor. So, I think, this is a synergistic, 1 and 1 makes 3, all right? That, I help you on this area, but you have greater knowledge on this area. And I can remember Jody saying something recently within the last couple of weeks about, well, I really don't know very much. And I'm going, really? That's a lie. And I rattled her on that. And I said, that's so untrue. I cannot sit by and listen to you say that, because it's not true. And it may be very humble, but it's not true. And I literally, hang on, I know you better than this. Don't lie. Don't lie to be humble. There's a difference. When you have a lot of knowledge, I put you in your place. You're right, Jody, I did. And you know why? Because you told a lie, and that's so unlike you. You know, Jody, I don't know if you ever heard me tell the story about when I was in therapy on an issue that something had happened, and I went for therapy, and I kept saying the words, apparently, I don't want to sound egotistical, but. Did you hear me tell that story? Because that is what I saw happening to you. You didn't want to admit your knowledge because it might sound egotistical. And you know what this therapist said to me was, why do you keep saying that? I said, saying what? And he said, you know, before, every time we talk about your experience in life, you will say, I don't want to sound egotistical, but. And I said, well, because people think that I am. And he said, Sal, let me tell you something you need to know right now. And you need to understand it. There is a difference between being egotistical and having knowledge. You have knowledge that most people don't. He said, you have a knowledge of psychology that, quite honestly, a lot of psychologists I know don't have. You have an ability to take really complex. I remember the therapist telling me this. You have the ability to take a really technical psychological situation and make it sound like, you know, it is ABC. He said, I don't know how you do it. You just seem to be able to translate it into very understandable language. And I said, well, it made me so upset when I studied all this stuff. Why did they keep talking all this gobbledygook? Why didn't they just say it in plain English so that the average person could understand it? And I remember my therapist saying, you may want to write that book. And I said, what? And he said, you have the ability to take complex psychological issues and make them very simple. And he said, that's a talent that not many people have. Yeah, so Jody's saying, you know, that I put her in her place, but it was presented in a light that she hadn't seen yet. So you understand, Jody, there is a difference between being humble and lying. And that's what got up my nose, that you lied to me. And I knew you lied to me because I know how much knowledge you have on that subject. And for you to pretend that you don't have any knowledge on it was a lie. Now, you might not have as much knowledge as, you know, Frida down the street, but, you know, in terms of your knowledge of that subject, you are way above average. It's the same thing as Beth. If you ever bother to listen to Beth, you know, Beth's knowledge of certain things is amazing to my mind. I don't know, you know, how Beth came about all that knowledge, but she has done some serious work in a number of areas. But I also think that Beth, like Jody, is street smart. And when I say street smart, they've got a natural ability to see the truth. And, you know, that takes courage. And Beth, you have it, you know, you have a wonderful ability to see through. You know, you don't, I really see you cut through the emotion and see truth very quickly. And that is incredible. By the way, my blood sugar has been completely wrong this week. I've got lots of reasons why. But, you know, reasons why are not going to fix my diabetes. Do you understand that? It's like I've got lots of reasons why my blood sugar is out of control. But, you know, the truth is, if I don't get that under control in a hurry, I'm going to be having a problem. No excuses. It's just like, I know what I'm doing. I am eating some of the wrong foods, not a whole lot, but some of the wrong foods, and I've done it for nearly a week. That's going to add up, people. So I need to get control if I want to control my diabetes. End of story. You know, there is no other possibility. My choice. Either get control or be sorry. However, you know, I'm pleased to say that, you know, and again, that blog will be coming out. But, you know, I did get to the doctor and we did get an update. So you'll hear about that one as soon as I get that vlog edited. So Robert Swan said, the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that somebody else is going to save it. I ask you and beg you to really take this reuse, recycle, repurpose, reduce, everything, all of that, more and more seriously every day. Keep expanding your knowledge. And if you would like me to continue to do this sort of a broadcast, then let me know. And I will continue to research on my side and, put it together again as I did this one until we've got enough for a broadcast. By the way, if you find interesting stuff that you think that the rest of the viewers would like to see, let me have those links so that I can put them together, and then I'll do one broadcast. And let me know if I can quote that you gave it to me. The name of the documentary, the original one that I started on, was called The War on Plastics. And I'm just typing that. And it is on the DearMamaSal.com website under broadcasts and resources. All right. I will put the link, Jody, if you remind me, I will put that link into the notes below here so that people can see it again. Fred Rogers said, often when you think you're at the end of something, you're at the beginning of something else. How many of you know I am heading towards the end of my time here in this house? And I am heading towards a new phase in my life. A new phase because it'll be a phase without living with Yvonne downstairs to help me with things, all right? It's going to be a new phase of my life because I'm going to meet new people who don't know me. And by the way, people judge me very quickly and quite rightly so. So I'm going to have a little bit of a struggle. Some people are going to think they like me and then find out they don't like me at all. And the feeling will be mutual. So, it's like, it's going to be a really difficult phase of my life. And so, but that is part of growing, all right? We keep moving forward to the next phase. I find it interesting, Jody, if I can say this, that when I met you, I almost felt like you were in the dying phase and now you're in the living phase. It was amazing that the difference in your mentality over the time that I've known you. It was just like, good for you. You turned that around big time. And it is so exciting to see you, doing things and planning things and, feeling that you can make a difference and seeing that you can. I think it's very, very magical. And by the way, yeah, Jody's saying, Sal, I absolutely was dying. I know that. I know that. And I also know that I probably would have felt the same, Jody. This was not a judgment of the fact you were going down that road. But what I would like to remind you, Jody, is what turned it around for you. At what was the point where you went, wait a minute, maybe I want to try something? I'd be, really interested in that because I think in that is hope, right? And we all need hope. Kerry, I'm saying, I'm not sure what your first impression was of me, but hopefully nothing bad. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, Kerry. I can't remember what my first impression of you was. By the way, Kerry, are you still vaping? Because I've been really watching some interesting stuff about the damage that it can do to your lungs. I mean, it's always been out there, but they've got more knowledge on it now. And I was, as you know, I'm a great believer in vaping to get off cigarettes, but I stopped vaping within a year. So I really would encourage you to now wean yourself off vaping. Not as much. Okay, is that not as much nicotine or not as much vaping? I'd almost say try challenging yourself that, I only, I'm not allowed to vape in the bedroom. I can only vape somewhere else. Try challenging yourself and see, a good girl. All right. So keep working on that, Kerry. I would be very happy for that. After what I saw about the damage that it can do. And you've been vaping for quite a while. And not that, it's not for me to tell you what to do, but I care enough to say I'd hate for you to damage your lungs like that. You only vape outside. That's incredible. All right, Jody says she was physically and emotionally dying. I had no quality of life, but a wish for one. After my lymphedema diagnosis, I lost hope for a bit. But through your friendship and Lionel's love and a renewed waiting for the rest of that sentence, sense of purpose with Dear Mama Sal, I slowly started to work at it every day. Well, you've done a great job, right? And you are an inspiration to a lot of people, and you give hope to a lot of people, Jody. And thank you for thank you. I am just so grateful to have met you. And Lionel. Einstein said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. I cannot stop the diabetes by keep eating what I was eating all my life. And yes, it's okay to have a day of celebration, stuff. But what I noticed was I'm sneaking in more carbs. Even though I'm trying to mitigate them, I'm trying to balance them out here and there, but I'm doing stupid things, and I need to go back to doing clever things more often. And that's part of it. So this whole thing about eating less is about eating better. And the reason that I am actually slowly getting rid of my pastas and things out of my house. You understand, at the time in December when I was diagnosed, I had a house full of pasta. I do notice I'm not eating potatoes. I eat potatoes sort of once a week. I might have a little leftover, but I portion it out in small amounts for during the week, if that. But you understand, I'm just noticing that is going off my list. So I'm slowly getting there. Now, what I wanted to ask you is, Jody and I were thinking that maybe, and I know some of you are incredibly organized and neat and tidy people, but we were thinking about, would you like us to go through the year concentrating on one area that needs to be cleaned? Maybe once a month we tackle an area, and that we actually talk about it and what we did, and maybe even show before and after pictures if you would like to do that. The reason that I say that is I think sometimes when we do it together, it's easier. I just think it's easier. Jody is giving me some feedback on the change in her thinking. She said, Sal, you've done a miraculous job in such a short amount of time, nonetheless. Well, I did it with your help, Jody. I could flap my lips forever, but if you didn't do anything, you wouldn't have turned around the way that you have. I am so proud of you. You really, it's miraculous. How much weight have you lost now? Do we know? And we understand. Oh, by the way, Jody, I did talk to my doctor about my weight, water retention. He took a lot of notes. Yeah. Jody's lost 105 pounds now of lymphoderma water retention. Amazing. If that doesn't tell you that you are getting better, that your body is working better, nothing will. All right. You've got to know you didn't lose that by accident. Yeah, he did take a lot of notes, Jody. And he asked me a lot of questions. And I'm going, I'm going, look at the puffiness. And he going, And I said, and if I take those water retention pills you give me, I'm all but incontinent, so I can only take them on days that I know I'm not going to go out. He goes, never mind. I will find an answer for it all. How about this one? This is a Native American, Native American proverb. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Are we going to leave our children a wasted earth? I'm thinking about the incredible fires happening in the Amazon, all right, destroying the very lungs of our planet. The Amazon rainforest has always been it's the lungs of the earth. If we continue to destroy that, that is amazing. It's scary. And sorry, Jody just wrote, Beth saying that she's holding steady at 119 pounds. Well done, Beth. Jody says, I've nearly lost a Beth. Yeah, what surprised me is that I'm still doing the fasting, for those of you who have been following that. And I'm pleased to say that I plateaued. I just want to make sure that I keep this real. Hang on one second. I did plateau last month. I like to show you this every now and then because I just seriously believe, I just want to add in, okay, just so you can see, all right, that it is, I just want to show you that this is still going in the right direction. The interesting thing is these blips up, these blips up were when I got the good news that I was doing well, and then I would start eating to celebrate. And so this month, if you notice, I worked really hard. I did the test and I worked really hard at not going up like this. I'm working really hard to start here so that I can drop below my next benchmark. So you can see how much adjustment I have to keep doing. I put it on and then I can lose it again, and then I put it on and I lose it again. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there because the overall is still done. All right, so Beth is saying that she has to eat 3,000 calories a day to keep her weight where it is because she's such an energizer bunny. You know something, Beth? You know what I'm thinking? I would have a look at what athletes do. The NFL players, the serious athletes, because I think you use your energy the way an athlete does. And, maybe, you can do some research to see what they do to keep those calories up, but without eating a whole lot of food, but they keep the calories up by eating this. I was amazed when I was at the Seahawks training center not so long ago, and I got the chance to eat in their canteen, and boy, was that an interesting place to go. The canteen of a NFL, a major NFL franchise, and you should see the healthy food that they had there. I don't think they had any junk food at all. But, I knew that everything, they could eat as much as they liked of all of that. All right. They could load up their plates 10 times over. That was all healthy food. Okay. So Beth's saying, all right, Jody's saying, I want to give some serious credit to Sal. The work she puts into finding options and not excuses just amazes me and inspires me every day. I could not continue my journey without her help. And Lauren's. Yes, by the way, while I'm thinking about that, thoughts and prayers for Lauren. She has her her biological grandfather is not doing well. And she's visiting him today, I believe, Jody. It is today, right? Did she actually go because she woke up not feeling well? So I'm wondering whether she did actually go. And by the way, it didn't surprise me that she woke up not well. Annie Leonard, when she wrote about the proponent of sustainability, she said, there is no such thing as a way. When we throw anything away, it must go somewhere. I think that's a good thing to keep in our minds, right? I am throwing this away. Will it end up in the Philippines? Yeah, that's what Jodie's saying about Lauren. It is today, and I think she's still figuring out if she can go. Yeah, she woke up not at all well today. All right, so that's right. So when you start to put something into the garbage, think to yourself, I am throwing this away, but where will it end up? Right? It has to go somewhere. And that's what absolutely amazed me, is that the majority of my throwaway stuff today is this, right? It's this and a couple of things. The other things in my garbage this week are an old scrub brush and something else. I literally, 98% of my garbage is this. Thanks again, Marie. It's our pleasure to be able to help you. Thomas Fuller, historian, said, we never know the worth of water until the well is dry. I am very grateful for having lived, 20 years of my life nearly in Africa, where we did serious water restriction. And, it was really funny how many times you can use water. You would use water to cook with, and then it wouldn't go down the drain, it would go into a bucket. And that water would, either go down to flush toilets or it would go to feed flowers. Yeah, after it had cooled down, obviously. You would use the wash hand basin, the sink, but that water would go into a bucket and then, be used again. Bath water, by the way, you never showered with the drain open, you showered with the drain closed, because then it would capture that water and that water would go into buckets and that water would again go out and do good elsewhere. And so to me, I think in terms of sustainability, everybody should go camping, right? Because I think going camping gives you a really good lesson in sustainability. And, even when I go camping, I will take, a 5-gallon jar of drinking water. And then, that drinking water, gets used to drink, obviously, but then also, it gets used to boil vegetables, and then that vegetable water, it's just like it was, and everything ended up in the black water tank. So, to me, it's really important that we remember how valuable water is. And all right, how about this? Jerry Greenfield of Ben and Jerry's ice cream said, recycling, packaging businesses are changing all of those things because of what consumers want. You see, it is up to us to say to the manufacturers, I don't want to buy your product because it's not in cardboard. I don't want to buy your product because, you keep putting everything in plastic. I don't want to buy your vegetables because you keep wrapping them in plastic. I want to come in with my own bags and, and I want that to be at a cheaper price because you don't have to wrap it. And it's like when we get strong enough, it'll happen. Pete Seeger, the folk singer, said, if it can't be reduced, reused, repaired, rebuilt, refurbished, refinished, resold, recycled, or composted, then it should be restricted, redesigned, or removed from production. Think about that. Isn't that great? If it can't be reduced, reused, repaired, rebuilt, refurbished, refinished, resold, recycled, or composted, then it should be restricted, redesigned, or removed from production. One of the issues I've always had is with built-in obsolescence. Built-in obsolescence is when they sell you a Swiffer wet jet and you can only use the Swiffer wet jet bottle in the machine and you can't refill the bottle. You have to keep rebuying another bottle. Well, actually, if any of you've got that, I found out how to refill it. So if anybody's got one of those, let me know and I will tell you how to refill it. But, to me, that was built-in obsolescence. The bottle is designed that you need to keep buying new ones. All right? And that keeps making them money. And so we are encouraging the use of plastic if we use that. There are a number of ways to beat that system. If I found number one is you drill a hole in the top of the Swiffer wet jet bottle. You fill it up with your concoction of whatever it is you want to wipe your floors with, be that vinegar and water or distilled water, and then you just put duct tape over the hole. Very simple, people. The other one that also works is you hold the wet jet with one hand and a spray bottle with your magic thing in the other. And you spritz and clean, and you spritz and clean. It's just like I refuse to spend money buying more plastic just because you can make money that way. We are living on this planet as if we had another planet to go to. Jodi's going, has everybody met Mrs. MacGyver? Here she is. But something, Jodi, it has always upset me. I don't know why, but it really has. It's always upset me. It's like I hate built-in obsolescence. It just drives me insane where you sell me a product. Do you know once I was I was part of an advertising group, and I remember that they were trying to work out how to increase the sales of, let me say, Comet, because I think that's what it's called here in North America. And the discussion was, how do we increase sales by 10%? And let me ask you, because you guys are smart, how would you increase sales 10% of comment this year if you had that challenge? What would you do? And it was a really interesting question. And I used to love sitting in on these brainstorming things because, it used to really, play to my out of the box thinking. And I'm just waiting to see if anybody's got any ideas. Anyway, just so that we don't drag this out too long, what we decided is, after a lot of ideas, some really smart, some not so smart, but it doesn't matter. It's all about, can you come up with the ideas? Because one idea will trigger another idea, will trigger another. And what we ended up with was so simple that it was scary. The answer that we came up with was increase the holes by 10%. Does that make sense? The holes where you shake it? If we increase the holes by 10%, it would hardly be noticeable. But it would just mean that you would use it up more quickly and therefore need to rebuy more often. All right, Jody, this is... wash, rinse, repeat for shampoo. I want to tell you, I wanted to do another broadcast about things that I am doing to save money. And funny enough, one of them is about shampoo. So I don't know if any of you would be interested in that. Because one of them was I realized something about shampoo that I waited a lifetime to understand. I've just seen what the time is. I should get out of here. All right, everybody. So I hope that this had some benefit to you. And if it did, make sure you leave comments below, because that will encourage other people to watch the broadcast. And all right, Sharon's going, yeah, that makes perfect sense. You mean about the holes, Sharon? Yeah, I want to tell you, it was so simple when we came. It was so funny. We came up all these brilliant marketing ideas, and then, we think, what if we increase the holes by 10%? And that's what they did. That was our recommendation, and they did it. We're just like, okay. So this was years ago, like 30 years ago or more. No, 50 years ago, maybe. I'm old. And so, by the way, just to let you know, Dougie's coming over on Wednesday. He wanted to take me out for a really good steak. And I've actually written to him and said, how about we buy the steak and just have a quiet barbecue? I don't know about the rest of you. It's like, yeah, we can spend all that money at a restaurant, or we can spend half the money, get really good food, and just sit quietly and enjoy a glass of wine and some really good food and chatting in quiet. I'm beginning to find, as I get older, that actually suits me really well. I would rather spend the money on good food and good company and not have to worry about spending a fortune and tipping somebody and, all that stuff. Although I still do it, but, it's just like, I see Dougie so rarely, and we've got a lot to discuss this time. A lot's been going on in the world, and Dougie and I like to solve the problems wherever we can. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. Big hugs to you all. I hope that you found something of value in this broadcast today, and I will be back this evening at 7:00 Pacific time. We'll see you then. This is DearMamaSal saying, remember to look after one another. But please look after yourself, and please, 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 let's look after the planet. If every one of us does, it will make a difference. Whatever you do will make a difference, even if you don't see it. Bye-bye for now. Big hugs. Thanks, Jody.